The basic premise of the second Horizon game is that the protagonist Aloy has to travel into the Forbidden West region in hopes of stopping a dangerous blight. However, the title tells a multi-layered tale featuring a bunch of different subplots, many of which focus on the title's brilliant cast of characters. When you're not watching the game's compelling cutscenes, you're usually participating in some third-person RPG action or exploring the giant open world. In combat, you take on a variety of different animal-like machines, and to defeat them, you must take advantage of their various weak points. It's a clever and unique combat system that complements the engaging narrative.
Even the ability to control machines of war.
Peter?
Aren't you forgetting something?
As you'd expect from the title, this game revolves around Marvel Comics' hilarious band of misfits. Star-Lord is joined by Rocket, Gamora, Drax, and Groot as the team attempt to stop a mysterious force called the Promise. It's a tale filled with twists and turns, which you get partial control over as the game includes several important choices. Regardless of your decisions, you will still get to witness a mixture of brilliantly written laugh-out-loud and tear-jerking moments. From a gameplay standpoint, you primarily control Star-Lord, but you can order your allies to use their special attacks on the litany of enemies you face. Outside of combat, their skills can be used to solve several environment puzzles. Both the gameplay and story are enjoyable to experience.
This up. You hang tight there, bud. When the time comes, I'll get you out of there.
Control is a great game if you're a fan of a story with mystery and science fiction elements. It takes place in New York, with you playing a character called Jesse, who is tasked with taking care of a mysterious extraterrestrial threat called the Hiss. It's similar in style to the BioShock series, but also introduces an amazing physics system which makes it one of the most satisfying gaming experiences in recent years. The storytelling is a real highlight, and if you don't get lost, it has one of the strongest narratives on the PS5. The characters are great too, and do a lot to cement the charm that oozes out of every part of this unusual game.
Some people are like you, charging in headfirst without a thought.
Yakuza Like a Dragon was one of the best RPGs of 2020, and the PS5 version is a fantastic experience for fans of the series and newcomers alike. Set in the underworld of Japan, one minute you'll be bashing heads, and the next you'll be relaxing at the arcades or singing karaoke. It's a weird game, but in an era littered with bland, gray adventure games starring middle-aged white guys, Yakuza Like a Dragon stands out amongst the crowd. Its characters are great, with Ichiban being arguably the best protagonist the series has seen so far. If you have never checked out a Yakuza game, you owe it to yourself to try out Like a Dragon.
Shall we? How about we don't?
Something's gotta hold on.
The Last of Us Part 2 isn't technically a PS5 game, but after receiving a PS5 upgrade it looks and plays as well as any native game on the system. It takes place just 5 years after the first game, presenting a new story featuring Ellie, but it moves the narrative in a completely unique direction, creating some incredibly emotional moments, both good and bad. It might not quite top the first game, but it is a worthy successor in every way. The combat is certainly more refined, and the characterization of the various new people you'll meet on this journey is leaps and bounds above that seen in the original game. It remains a must-play game, not just for its story, but for everything that surrounds it. Marvel's Spider-Man received a remaster alongside the release of Miles Morales, and it's every bit as good on PS5 as it was when it originally launched back in 2018. It has one of the best versions of Peter Parker across any media and has a great story full of twists and turns as you swing and web your way to the game's ending. It also has one of the best traversal systems in any game, well, ever. Insomniac Games let you loose in an incredibly well-made New York City, complete with landmarks like the Empire State Building and Central Park, and the PS5 version is equipped with instant load times and makes great use of the next-generation DualSense controller. Its story may be a little cheesy at times, but it is a comic book game, so would you really expect anything else?
Let's make it a night to remember.
A remake of one of the greatest RPGs of all time, the Final Fantasy VII Remake makes great use of the additional power offered by the PS5 with performance and graphics-based modes, alongside quicker loading times and DualSense features. This chapter covers the original story up to the escape from Midgard, but includes a lot of extra content and story not seen in the original. It's the best action RPG available on the PS5, and the exclusive DLC episode is as high a quality as the base game itself. If you're looking for a story to get lost in, look no further than Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Putai's famous Dachau beans. Eat up. And here you go.
You look about ready to die of boredom. Wanna play Fort Condor?
Disco Elysium offers you an unprecedented level of choice in how you play it. Every single action or decision you make has a big impact on how the rest of the game plays out. You play as a detective tasked with solving a murder, all whilst trying to put together his own fractured memory. All of this takes place in a world torn apart by a war years before, which has left things in a pretty terrible state. Surprisingly for an RPG, Disco Elysium has no combat, instead, focusing on decision-making and making players respond appropriately to events that take place within the world. It's a lot of reading, but the final cut includes a brilliantly performed narrator for every bit of dialogue. Disco Elysium has one of the best stories in modern gaming and is a refreshing addition to the PS5 lineup.
If you could only find your gun.
Hades is a tough roguelite and one of the best the genre has ever seen. For a roguelite, it has a surprisingly deep narrative, with layers of story to untangle, as well as all the relationships between the game's numerous characters. The visual style is gorgeous too, with each of the underworld's locales having unique and rich environments for you to explore. There is even the chance to rest between areas and take it all in. On top of the near limitless levels of content to find and unlock, it will take you 10 complete runs if you intend to find Hades' real final ending. This isn't a small game by any means. The focus on Greek mythology is brilliantly done too, with characters such as Hades, Zagreus, and Aphrodite all being brought to life in this fantastic take on one of gaming's fastest growing genres.
What'll it be?
A Plague Tale: Innocence is an emotive dive into the relationship between a brother and sister, and it has some fantastic writing and thrilling gameplay that will keep you on the edge of your seat for the entirety of your time with it. You spend your time avoiding the Inquisition, as well as the horde of rats that follow your every step, all whilst searching for the cure to Hugo, Amicia's brother who has been ill since birth. The game's focus on stealth gameplay and player awareness make it a great proposition if you're looking for a slower experience, with the power balance between you and the antagonists of the game being heavily weighted against you. A Plague Tale: Innocence is a great game, just make sure you have some tissues beside you whilst you play it.